Are you going back and forth? Do you go with the $99 HomePod Mini or the $299 new HomePod? The more affordable Mini does pretty much the same things as this full-size HomePod, except the sound. And you probably have heard about the sound. The sound's nice. It's tempting. You got features like handoff, so you just pass it off and keep listening. For all practical purposes, just go with the HomePod Mini. But if you'd like to know why you should go with this one instead, keep watching. I've been using the new HomePod for the last week. Like the original, it does sound great. Unfortunately, it's $299. That's $49 less than this was when it came out. It seems like some of the cost savings comes in cutting components out of it. This had 7 speakers, this has 5. This had 6 mics, this has 4. There is a new design for the speakers, so they kind of fire up and don't bounce off the surface of things. Even though this has less speakers to it, they manage to keep them sounding pretty close to the same. There are some folks out there, myself included, that think the original one sounds better than this new one. They both sound great. The difference is this one seems a little more bassy, where the original seems like it just has a little better balanced sound out of it. Now, if you heard them individually, you probably wouldn't notice this, but side by side, I would have to say the original sounds better. Now, if this does have too much bass for you, or any of the HomePods do, you can actually go in the settings and turn them off. Apple did keep the same design, as you can see, slightly different dimensions. You do have a removable cable now. As for the top, you have a larger display that pretty much offers nothing but a little color still. Touch on top, you can play or pause music with a single tap. Double tap will go track forward, triple tap will go track back. Unfortunately, I'd love to see a display that can show a text or show something on it and says, oh, whatever. You have this new midnight color and white. I'm liking the midnight. It looks black compared to the gray. I think it looks good. We'll see how it looks after it gets a bunch of dust on it. The new HomePod does also bring a humidity and temperature sensor that this one does not have. As for the processor, it's an S7 chip that was originally found in the Apple Watch Series 7, which is interesting that we're going to a watch processor, but it makes sense. It's only audio. There's no visual side to this, so less processing. Now, one thing I thought was interesting with these is they have an accelerometer inside, and the reason it's there is so when you put it down, it will actually use room sensing to tune the sound to the room. The way this works is it'll send sound out, and that bounces off of surfaces and comes back, and it'll use the microphone to determine the size of the room and how to give you the best audio out of it. A couple other changes with this over the original is that it is a thread router now, so you can connect to thread devices. It also has a U1 chip in it, so when you're using handoff, it's more accurate. But that's kind of it. Other than that, pretty much everything you can do with this, you can do on the Mini. So it makes it hard to recommend it for anything but the sound. The HomePod Mini has most of the same features as this. Here's a little side-by-side showing the features. You can see it really just comes down to the sound. So seeing that this is really all about the sound, I do think it's worth paying the extra money for in certain rooms. Let me explain. I don't tend to listen to music on any of my smart speakers. Instead, I usually go for a set of AirPods. When I first bought the original HomePod, it just kind of sat there on the shelf. There weren't a lot of features, Siri sucked, and HomeKit devices were expensive. Then Apple introduced an upgrade that brought Dolby Atmos to this, and you compare it to an Apple TV. That's when things changed. With the addition of Dolby Atmos, my original HomePod became my soundbar in here. Just so you know, HomePod Minis don't support Dolby Atmos. The reason is you need to have a speaker with multiple speakers in it to create that simulated Dolby Atmos sound. What I found in here, a single HomePod filled the room up nicely. It gave a lot of depth over what came out of the computer speakers. It doesn't sound like sounds coming behind me, but it sounds so much fuller. It's so good that I'm making a stereo pair out of these new ones for in here. When we finished out our garage to hang out in it, I took 2 of the full-size HomePods and paired them up with the Apple TV in there. When it comes to testing sound and sharing it with you guys, it is really tough to do in these videos. I don't have great equipment to do that, and when you have the compression and whatever you're listening to on, you really can't get accurate representation. So I highly recommend going and hearing these in person. Now, the way I describe it is these are much fuller than most TVs that I have. This LG TV actually has some great virtual surround, except the low end sucks. These are better than that, and my other TVs, yeah, definitely better than the internal speakers. As for surround sound system, you're not going to get the fullness. You're not going to get sound behind you out of these. You're not going to get the bass that a dedicated subwoofer is going to have. No matter how much I like listening to these, they're not going to replace my system in my living room. That's a place that I take my viewing serious, and I want serious sound with it. But now any other TV in the house, I'm more than happy to pair with these. The new HomePod just makes it feel like there's more depth and sound to the sides of you. That sound upgrade with my TV gets used daily, so it's worth the price there. I have a nice sound system for watching movies and listening to music, but I still have a HomePod in the room. I have smart speakers all throughout the house. So combining my smart speaker for my music and TV is nice for those rooms where I can't run a surround sound system or don't want to run one. Now, I know there's folks out there that are going to say, get a soundbar instead. And I understand that. There's some great sounding soundbars out there, especially with the dedicated sub. You're probably going to get deeper bass, but this thing sounds really good, and it offers features that you're not going to be able to get out of that soundbar. A lot of soundbars support AirPlay now, so you can send over media from your devices, but you can't walk over and just hand it over like that. And you can't pass your phone calls over to it and just keep talking. Or be able to access your Apple apps and control your smart home. Convenience like that is nice. It also offers a wireless sound solution. You can mount an Apple TV right to your TV and then wirelessly connect these. Not a lot of other options are going to do that and give you Dolby Atmos. Now, you may find better sounding sound bars that are cheaper than two of these or even one of these, but the thing that still makes this nice is the convenience, the integration with other Apple services, and it sounds good. Now, I've said a lot of good stuff about the HomePod. I do like them, but I have to be realistic. It's got some serious faults to it that really are going to limit people buying it. First, the price. I mean, come on. They priced it slightly less than the device that didn't sell the first time, but then they're pricing it way above their competition that has the majority of the market share. So it's like you just trying to get people not to buy it. Next would be the lack of third-party support. I mean, let people listen to Spotify already. Open up an app store, catch a piece of those subscriptions, Apple, but let it open up more. You know, it really can go beyond Echoes and stuff if they developed a real app store versus Echoes and their skills that are very limited. This could have been a really good chance to take some more market share. Now, before I get into my recommendations, if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one of these videos. Also, we do a YouTube live stream Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. PT, so come join us. After a week of using the new HomePod and being a longtime user of the original, if you're not someone who's going to listen to music on them throughout the house or in the room, or you don't plan on hooking them up to a TV for audio, I would say go with the HomePod Mini, or 3 of them for the same price. That way you can cover 3 different rooms. You can also pair those up with an Apple TV. Now, when it comes to Siri, I will say Siri has gotten much better. Still not great when it comes to getting information and certain things, but when it comes to executing commands and the integration across Apple services and devices, there's a lot of value in there. It's great to be able to add things into your Apple Notes, calendars, reminders list. You can even use the Find My app and Voice to locate your phone or your AirPods. You can take advantage of the personalized responses and be able to access your music out of your family account or send messages from Apple's Message app using your voice. You can do all that while still maintaining privacy so that if it's not your voice, no one else can get your information. So there's some interesting stuff in there. When it comes to the smart home, that's an area that's really grown. Starting a smart home now is much more affordable using Apple's HomeKit. In the beginning, HomeKit devices were limited and expensive. Now there's some great affordable options out there. The addition of Matter is going to make it even easier to get smart devices. devices. I do think a lot of people underestimate what the HomePods can do when it comes to the smart home. There are certain features that still aren't available on Google or Amazon devices, like the idea that I can't use a smart switch to trigger any scene or to even just turn on another device. But if I go and write an automation within Apple's Home app, I can do that. One switch turns on another switch. I think we're at a point where Apple users should kind of open up more to giving Siri and HomeKit more of a shot. Now, if you're someone like me who's looking for a balanced speaker that's got some good volume and can appreciate the fact that you can hook it up to your TV too, this can be a great option for you. Now, whether you go for the HomePod Mini or the full-size HomePod, these things are capable of doing so much. And really, you should take a look so you don't miss out on the great stuff. For example, here's 10 everyday uses that are going to help you do more with these HomePods. I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Bye.